Got so many guys out there. We don't know what they love. The drama continues as always. We just had a present. But you want it to be true, you make it true. So you get clicks, but when you go personal, what's really going on? Like, what's going on, y'all? This Greg. Greg said it. Back with another one. What's going on? What's going on, y'all? What's going on? It's Greg. Greg said it. We are live here on our little Sunday live. It's amazing, how time moves. I know last week, this time I was on a boat, and I mean, it was a pretty decent little trip. It wasn't it wasn't fast, it wasn't slow. So I take what I can get because a lot of things are moving really fast these days. But it's just interesting that last week, this time, I was on a nice little carnival cruise. So I missed you all in my live here, but we back this week. And I know a lot has happened from the time that, I missed. I was able to get little interesting little messages from get this thing off here. I was able to get little messages like Twitter and stuff but I couldn't open it. I got my little package and I opened up with AT&T. It didn't work for nothing. So I just pretty much spent the rest of the trip forget it. I'm just, at least I see what's going on. I can't open nothing, but I'm not going to pay for this. So I had to go through all of that. So I caught everything back up, well off all that good stuff. I was on the show with B Watts then on JR on Thursday, and we kind of talked about, B Watts really excited about the IA prediction. They only, Well, how you predict that? And I've always gave my theories on like how everything works. For Colorado, that you know, I'm not a scout. I am the analytical one. As far as seeing things that a lot of people don't want to see, and it's interesting. A lot of the stuff does come out. That need to be adjusted, and just provide an insight. Like I see some little things, and one of the things that I see is underused talent in some aspects. And then on another side of it, most people who looking in on the outside who don't really know the team, you know, they really can't see what's going on. So we got more insight. What's going on, Alan? We got somebody joined the squad this week. Right towards the end of the trip, I think it's R. Jills. I think he told me he got a box. He in the Tangler family. I know he probably popped through here later on, but yeah, I think R. Jills got. Um, I haven't really been watching a lot of TV. Honestly, I've been having a lot. I was taking tests. I still got a lot of stuff I got to finish up to get in place. So um, but I noticed my family was using the box this weekend. I was like, "That's don't take the box." They watching Garfield, so we running strong. We running strong. I appreciate you all for supporting me and glad I can add value on some level. Because there's different levels to this thing. D Hall, some people get real deep. I don't want to get real deep because I do want to connect to you all that don't really know the football like that, who didn't play or whatever. But I don't even think it's necessary in a lot of ways because I think sometimes people be so deep and trying to use a language and talk that they miss. A lot of people lack fundamentals in life, and I'm a fundamentalist. Looking the fundamentals to get to the deeper things that look like I know you haven't even mastered the bare fundamentals of it. And when I look at like Colorado, it's like, yeah, you can get a lot of deep concepts and turn out just sound smart, beat your chest in a lot of ways. And it's a place for that, especially on that level. But far as here, it's like I'm just looking at the just simple things. For example, I put out a video yesterday, and I threw a little couple little clips up just to get some. I ain't did videos in some days, so I just put little videos out there, and I was talking about the quarterback situation. So we look at the fact that we have Salter here, and I think maybe we can get into this, right here with this old lineman. Yeah, definitely. Oh, right now, what I think about this old lineman coming in is it's definitely needed. He's a guy who could play tackle and guard. He has experience and he has decent size. I mean, he's that 300 plus. Sometimes we complain when we had 320 guys, like we needed 360 guys. It's really about what you do with that size. Because I think Houston came in at the end of last year and he was undersized and he was holding it down for the most part. And he got hurt later. So it's not necessarily just, we need big guys because, NFL ain't going with the biggest guys. They lean and they athletic because you got to be able to move. You got to have good footwork. You got to have, just good technique. And you got to have enough size to hold your own. But I mean, most of these D linemen you're going against at the next level, they're not going to be 400 pounds. They're going to be athletic, fast, and it's going to be strong. They're going to be the best. They're not necessarily about size. It's not always about size. I look at Kelsey, who was probably going to end up being a Hall of Fame center who just retired from the Eagles. What's going on, chest ready? And it's like he was never the biggest guy. I remember when you look at my guy, what's his name with the Rams? I'm looking right at his face. When you look at guys who they're not always the biggest guys in the trenches, but they have the best leverage. They know how to get lower and stronger. I think that's what Shadoze is going to be able to match if you get the opportunity. You're looking at the wrong things. So I think that size can help, but you just need people who know what they're doing. And I think 320 is plenty. I always have thought 320. I think what's going on, Kurt, that was plenty in the first year. But we kept saying all the size. I'm like, size gonna be really, really good when it comes to the run. or whatever. Maybe you just don't know how to run, but we wasn't. You got to have somebody be able to move them feet and get in front of those guys. Yeah, I need some Aaron Donald. Absolutely. Some of the best guys are undersized at every position. Linebacker, line. Right. I don't think that Marshall Faulk as a running back was a time he was an exception. He's not always the biggest guy. Bear Sanders, Emmitt Smith, not the biggest running backs. But you look at Derrick Henry, he big. I even think that when you look at Eddie George, he's big. You can't put the standard on everybody to be the same because people have different assets, different skills. And I look at that even with somebody like me. I'm not going to compare what I do to what other people do because I bring what I bring. That's what I originally brought. That, and that's how life is. Everybody has something they bring. You got to find what you bring, what you're good at. You can't try to be with somebody else and they can't be you. And that's what it really boils down to when it comes to talent and skill. Because you really look at football, everybody's different. Some people's DB is 6'1". Everybody now want the big DB. But then, it used to be a time where you wanted your DBs to be 5'10". Sometimes 5. Now, sometimes the shorter guys on the field. Now you want the big DB to go up against the big receiver. And then you kind of like looking down on the guys who used to be the guy at DB at 5'10". And it's like, you can't forget, yet the tall quarterbacks, a little bit is short some. And you just can't put people in that box. It's per person situation. I think Block Ball stays healthy. He has potential being the next Casey Hampton, who was all pro and Super Bowl champ as well. But it's proven what he can do at this level. He's proven against good talent. So there's no reason why he can't go up against the same people who are going to be at the next level. And I think this team here that we have here, as I was saying, with looking at the quarterback situation, it's like, you know what? A lot of people want to look over Colorado because they don't have a big name. I mean, it's not because they're not talented. It's either they came from a small school, a smaller school, or they don't have, which most football players don't have the whole the NIL or the brand, football brand. And even when they do have the football brand, most people don't really get the spotlight unless they like leading the nation in the Heisman race, something like that. And Colorado's just unique because you got Bucky, you got Reach the People, you got all these, you got Uncle D, you got people like us talking about it all the time. And those guys putting the camera on those guys so you get to hear their name and see their face. And when you look at as a supporter, as a fan, you watching it, you like, all about these guys. But when people looking at it from the outside, they say Colorado ain't got nothing. I heard somebody, I don't know where it was, Facebook or something, they put a post, maybe it was on my page. The guy asked, what do you think about that conference? Because I don't know if it's factual. They had Colorado ranked already, what, 13, 19, 16? I'm like, I wasn't going to get all into this ranking situation this early because it is new. But I can tell you that they have a great possibility, not only being a good team, but being a better team than they were last year. They have an opportunity to be a better team, well-rounded team. Like I said about my video yesterday, I was talking about the difference in the two quarterbacks. Now we have more than two. I don't know if Ponder's still there. I see Staub, but I said Staub, you should have been gone. But you here, make the best out of it because you would like to have. You don't want to just have one. And I look at like both of these quarterbacks are going to be overlooked. One, oh, he's young, he'll be the future, right? He ain't proven himself. He only 17. You're gonna do that. Salter, oh, he didn't have the best season last year. And he did at Liberty. Ooh, he got to prove himself. Like Shador had to prove himself. So he's in prime position to really just kind of step out on people. But they ain't gonna see him coming. That's why I was like, not pushing for the little game against Syracuse. I don't want to show my hand too soon. Let them keep on underestimating Colorado because if you really look at it, they have some weapons. That's what we're talking about today. Some hidden weapons. Probably not as hidden to you all who follow me as much. But in some of the stuff I've been saying and with the other platforms. And what do you think if we Sincere Brown? There's no doubt it's playoff. If you get Sincere Brown, I think it definitely gives an extra weapon. But I think the team you have, you'll be surprised. I don't think it's just that one person. Because if, like I've been saying, I'm gonna keep saying it to the catch. If you want size and height, you got it in your tight end room. So instead of worry about always adding more receivers, start seeing your tight ends as the receivers they are and use them effectively, because it's going to be a matchup problem when you got a guy that's 6'6" who has ball skills of an athlete, but he's tall and bigger. You're not going to be one-on-one with him. You can't tackle him by yourself. You holding on to his leg like you're a little toddler. We have to start seeing the tight end room as something we ain't really had. Now, Micah Harrison did it the first year, and it was a surprise, and it was valuable. But I feel like if Colorado better use their tight end room, it won't be so much as, oh, you need a bigger receiver, because you have them. You just need to use them. So I think Sincere can add they need to do is make sure that they use their tight end room. And that's one of those hidden weapons. When you look at, we have a tight end that's doing this thing. We also have a couple more younger ones that's, probably not really seeing really in the well off, and we don't fully know them. And what I'm hearing, we have one that's in high school that's coming. That's a big, young, talented tight end. If they treat that, as a matter of fact, let the tight ends go over there and go play jump ball with the receivers. Let them develop the confidence and the hey, y'all gonna get the ball too. Y'all ain't just blocking. Y'all ain't just here just to be a add-on. You are a weapon. If they do that, they're good. How do you feel about Georgia Tech fans saying we're in a rebuilding stage? But yeah, Georgia Tech ain't got nothing. I'm right here with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech really didn't. I have a cousin. This is his senior year. I was actually recruited by Georgia Tech out of high school, and just historically, let me give y'all some context. I was recruited by Georgia Tech out of high school and a couple of the ACC teams, and the arrogance of me as a young man was Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Like you knew Georgia, you knew SEC. SEC is king around here. So you knew Georgia, you knew um, Alabama, you knew about those, you knew some other schools. But Georgia Tech was like, all right, they took off Reggie Ball and all them was in my class. They had some pretty good run during that time. I think Hamilton did decent a little bit before that. Had a little option because they were really run the option. They wasn't really pass. They had guys who can run the option, and they kind of historically have been that. And even now, they kind of that big quarterback. They kind of lean towards that Veer style offense. They're not gonna bomb you. They're gonna run the ball, and they had some talent there. And I think they left. They have a nice little running back. He kept getting hurt. I think he transferred. Singleton, who been there for a couple of years. He was a big time prospect in the area. He was as a freshman. He did good, and he came back, lose his talent. They had Gibbs back in the day. Gibbs was there all the way up. They went to Alabama, and he up Detroit now. They had talent, but they're elite. They do have talent because of the area that we're in. You know, I'm thinking that Georgia Tech, as long as you tackle well, which I think they're gonna have a trouble with Colorado from what I'm seeing with the defensive line that we have in the linebacker play, if it develops the way I'm seeing it. Georgia Tech is gonna have a trouble with keeping up with Colorado because they're not gonna score a lot of points. If Colorado defense is what I think it is, they're gonna have to keep up. And I think that people underestimate Colorado's offensive ability since Shador's gone and Travis is gone. That's what they call a rebuild because that's all they know. But what they don't know is what we're talking about today. This team has the ability. This receiver room, to me, could be far better than last year's receiver room. And I'll explain. Let me explain. I ain't scared to say it. Let me explain to y'all. Yeah. Yeah. Stop does. He's really good with keeping the basic. And no, you haven't missed a lot here. But I'm gonna tell you though, This is what makes Colorado dangerous. Let me start with my original quarterbacks. When you put somebody like Salter at quarterback with the experience he has, he's going to do something very identical to what Georgia Tech would want to do to Colorado. The quarterback is going to be the main guy. He's a big guy, and he wants to put that ball on the ground. Basically, they're not really trying to bomb you. Salter, on the other hand, he's a better passer than Georgia Tech quarterback by far to me, and he's not as big, but he's more athletic and he's faster than Georgia Tech's quarterback. He has way more weapons than Georgia Tech. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Georgia Tech did something that I respect. They used their weapons very well. They had nowhere near the weapons Colorado had last year. I went to the game. I went to one game and I watched some others, but I went to the game against I think Duke late at night game. They don't have nowhere near the receiver core. Their running back room is not. They would love to have the running backs we had. They had one good running back and another decent backer, but that one running back he could go, but he kept getting hurt. But he was dangerous. I mean, game. But when he was in, he get anybody a problem. But I think he gone. I think he gone. But he get anybody a problem. That was a talented running back. He's just injury prone for whatever reason. The quarterback can run that ball too because he's big. He make good decisions. But they don't have a lot of weapons that you have to watch. Colorado, on the other hand, you put Salter back there. This goes into what we're talking about. If you properly use Gibson, you properly use Harge. Similar but not similar. They two petite guys. Skill set, very quick, very fast, but they're different. Because Harge can go line up in that backfield, and we've seen him do it over and over again. And I feel like, and I'll say it again, he was underused last year's. I'm telling you, if you put that boy in motion, like how Georgia Tech was using Singleton, he'd be on the slot. They'll put him in motion. These jet sweeps and stuff like that. He get open fields a problem. He's about the size of a. They learned to use Harge and put him in motion and let him line up in the backfield and Wildcat just move around and let him be who he is and quit holding him back. Colorado got a weapon that nobody see coming. Because everybody was hyped Dylan Edwards. He was a top recruit. Dylan Edwards. And he had that big first game. And they were like, oh, watch out. He didn't really do much after that. He really ain't did much where he at now. But everybody fear what he can do in space. That's Harge. That is Harge. Harge, matter of fact, he has good speed. I don't know. You can't say he got the same speed as Dylan Edwards. Dylan's supposed to be the fastest guy, right? But he got way more football moves than Dylan Edwards. Dylan Edwards was a speed guy. But Harge, I tell you, a lot of times I seen Harge get the ball and they had them gray jerseys on, and they both had two different. He looked a lot like Travis Hunter. Sometimes looking like, if you see them clips, I thought it was Travis Hunter. It was Harge. He had 17, Travis had 12. They move very similar. He don't have the hype and the glory and the fame. But I'm telling you, he ain't far from it. He's not far from it. They better. I know how Colorado watching. I ain't got to keep saying. I should keep saying, like, hey, I know y'all watching. And I know y'all hear me. Somebody do, because this stuff getting bad. Harge is your guy. Harge is your guy. You know he a guy. If this guy get enough touches, he gonna be a household name. You got young Gibson over there, who is fast as lightning. He has a nose like a hound dog for the end zone. He know how to get there. I don't care what level he at. He gonna get there, and he has the speed. And forget he's small. He gonna get to the end zone. If you use those two lightning bolts that you got in a replacement of a LeJounte and Jimmy, I feel is an upgrade. The movement. Now LeJounte was a route technician, right? But when you look at 2 for 2, this is an upgrade in your slot. I hear Cam Michaels back there with the running backs. He's identical to what I'm saying. He's a guy that you can line up in that slot and put in the backfield. Line up, put in the backfield. That's another one. You also got Draylon. Everybody know about Draylon. They call him Debo. He's not nowhere near as fast or quick as those other guys, but his football IQ is pretty decent. He is at the right place, and if he get the ball, he's not hard. He's not easy to bring down. He's not easy to bring down. And you saw him at the pro day. So you got all these weapons nobody really know about but us. So when you say rebuilding, it's like, hmm. I don't know. I don't know about this wanting to get him. I doubt it. You can run it around. I doubt they will want to get him. He probably wanted him in the past. I doubt they will want him because he was a money guy. He left the school. Prime is not a money guy. This guy want money, 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 and he pushing money. That's not the type of guy Prime usually wants. That's why I would say no. He looking for money. He got to go somewhere else. Yeah, he don't want the money stuff. He don't want the money stuff. Like I say, Cam Michael's another one. As a high school guy in Georgia, Central Georgia, a lot of people looking over and forgetting he was a highly sought after recruit. Another one who come out of Georgia, same as Brandon Hood, who's hurt. Everybody forgetting that these Georgia, all these top schools wanted these boys. All them schools wanted Salter. Salter, Auburn, all these guys wanted Salter. But you treat them like, again, when they go to Colorado, oh, who are they? I get it. That's football. Most people don't know the guys up there. Know. Like these ain't high quality athletes that everybody wanted. These not leftovers. So yeah, Cam Michaels is one of them. And another speedy guy who was faster than IA who just left. Similar build, smaller, younger, tall, fast, and can do a lot of things. He can do more than IA out the backfield because he can catch, and he's more athletic. With the ball, he's freak show with the ball. If you get him the ball in space, he ain't just finna run into somebody or make one cut, and he gonna make something happen too. A lot of people don't see that coming with him. Another hidden weapon. Another advantage we have is our altitude. I don't think Georgia Tech ready to play. Yeah, man, I think the altitude is something. I went up there in it, and you know, it'll sneak up on you. It'll sneak up on you. You know, I don't know. I don't want to play with these night games. I mean, they gonna practice at night. I don't like them night games. But I want them Thursday night game. Somebody that they moved it to from Saturday to Thursday. Say he's trying to get the bag. See you. Know. Yeah. Now I talked about Salter, and I also talked about Juju. Juju does something I'm very impressed by. Juju, I noticed if the flats open, he gonna dump it quick to that tight end. And he won't take a lot of sacks because he gonna get rid of the ball quick. Like you trying to let stuff develop, and then if that's the right running back. If that's the right running back in the backfield, if that's Brandon Hood, if Hard is in the backfield, if you got Cam Michael in the backfield, you got any one of those type guys in the backfield, he gone. Gone. Pew. Because there's no way you got, like I said, Mario Miller over there. And y'all gonna have 2-3 guys on him because he gonna toast you like a bun fresh out the oven. So you in trouble if you ain't tough. So everybody running for their life, running out the Cam Mario Miller. And then you dump it out there to them flats. And you expecting that running back to be covered by a linebacker or that nickel who got caught up in the wash trying to get out there. And it's you and him. Oh, it's a problem. This is the weaponry that Colorado have that they didn't have last year. As great as the running backs were or thought they were not a threat for 2 reasons out of the backfield. One, Shador wasn't throwing it to him. And if he did throw it, he threw it far too late. He threw it way to the point where everybody knew he over there, and then the whole team ran over there by the time he got the ball. So it wasn't much there. He'd be sitting over there for an hour, took a lunch and everything, nap. But they also didn't have the speed. When we just lost Dylan Edward, we lost our boy Went down to Arizona State. He had a little knee issues. He never really recovered. And so they got more speed now in that backfield. Now that they let Brandon Hood be who he can be, he can bump up. The eye is going. He can bump up a notch and get his opportunity. You just put Cam Michael back there to get some reps. You playing hard, play this hybrid role. You got so many guys who can make people pay if you getting on the ball out there in that open field. Because they're going to make a move and they got speed. And you better have 2-3 guys over there. The problem is, if they cover your receiver, like they should, there should be nobody over there. You trust in that slider, that whatever y'all playing, that nickel or that outside linebacker. Most of the time, they expecting that linebacker to get out there and get that running back, especially against Colorado, because you're going to have some help over there with them receivers they got. If you got JoJo Williams out there, you not want him one-on-one. That's a problem. You not want your receiver over there and your DBs one-on-one with O'Miller. That's a problem. And you're going to find out real quick. It's jump ball city, touchdown city. They don't want that. So these are the weapons that nobody know, but we know. Split back and Cam. See, you don't have to put Juju, on the center. When you got, you don't have to be out there together because you got so many guys who can do. If you got Salter out there by him up on the center, and let's say you did put 2 running backs back there, and you put B Hood back there with a Cam Michael, or B Hood back there with a Harge. They both fast. They both go this way. Throw a Draylon Miller in there. You already got 3 threats right there. That's a matchup issue because who gonna let's say you got 2 linebackers right there. Let's say you got your little nickel or whatever over there. Let's say you got a receiver, right? So they spying already. They're already watching your running backs. I got this guy out the backfield. But it's you and him one-on-one. You better be who you think you are. You better be able to get out there with Brandon Hood. There ain't too many linebackers I feel can do that. You gotta have more than one. Yeah, they definitely are SEC caliber, because they got SEC caliber talent. They got SEC caliber talent. Because all these boys, the SEC wanted. And some of them come from the SEC. I don't know what's going to be the challenge for Georgia Tech, honestly. I just think they're going to be outmatched, honestly. Because the talent that Colorado got is far, far superior to them. I'm in Atlanta. I know the history of Georgia Tech. I know what they're recruiting. They don't have the kind of recruiting that Colorado have. They didn't have the kind of recruiting Colorado had last year, but their scheme was effective. He was only looking at 2 places. Oh, I guess that's gonna be big news when that happened. I think he was coming to commit. Yeah. He was there this weekend. I don't think he was coming. You gotta think about it. This guy was at Campbell. This what a lot of people don't think. This is the Greg said it kind of analysis. He was at Campbell, remember? Remember when Coach Prime was at Jackson State, he was really close to the Campbell coach. Campbell coach was one of those NFL alums. And everybody tried to pit him against Coach Prime. But him and Coach Prime scheduled that game because Coach Prime was trying to give the Campbell's coach. I almost thought that he was going to get the Campbell coach to come coach with him one day. What's going on? So the guy being at Campbell, it's a connection there because that coach, this guy's come from a big program, came to Campbell for a year. He's trying to get a bigger stage. Don't think that coach and Coach Prime ain't coordinate that. If that coach was going to send him to another team, who do you think he would rather send him to? Coach Prime was very close to the head coach at Campbell. Go back. If y'all didn't follow Coach Prime, when Coach Prime was at Jackson that last year and they played Campbell, and Coach Prime was the one who arranged that. And everybody thought that Campbell was going to beat Jackson State and all that because that was like, maybe a little better. It wasn't the HBCU. And, HBCU teams, you just chump off when they play non-HBCU D1 team. And, yeah. 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 I mean, I don't think Coach Prime is the one doing that as much. I mean, it's going to be different. Yeah. I mean, this guy here is just like he got to be like a fifth year. He's a 1 year guy. Yeah, just like a 1 year guy. So there you got it. Live on Greg Said It. Everybody gonna be talking about it. Breaking news that Sincere committed. I was not surprised at all for the reasons I listed. And that, this is the type of school that would be a good fit for him. And with the history that Coach Prime have and this is a one hitter. He got to get that spotlight and move on. And Coach Prime has proven that he can do that with guys in 1 year, and he's pretty much sure to play. If he goes somewhere else, we've seen guys go to Ole Miss and all that, and they just get swallowed up. He was swallowed up down at USF. So he has to go to a place where he know the opportunity is there and it's the best fit for him because he can't waste a year. Plus, you got to look. I just said he came from USF. It's two guys who's going to the NFL who's from USF who he's played with or he's been around. That's Xavier Weaver. He watched come from Colorado to Colorado, and Jimmy Horn, who came to Colorado. So it's a lot of connections there. It's going to be exciting to see what he brings to the table. It's extra. It's icing on the cake. When we look at the defense, pieces on the defense that a lot of people overlook at that defensive line and how they're going to be better. You look at what Lightfoot is doing. You look at what Coleman is doing. These are not big names. They're not coming from big schools, but they had big production to get big schools. That's what we saw with Shadoze. Houston, yeah, they like Big 12 now, but it wasn't long ago Houston was considered a smaller tier pro. It was USA, I believe. So they really just bumped up. So Houston didn't really get the respect that they should. But they played against the Texas, and Shadoze and them guys produce. That's what you're gonna see when they get these guys this year. These are no name guys. Think I'm like, who are these guys? I'm saying Amari McNeil getting pushed. They push. Of course, you got Big Otis from Bama. You had Big Barnes that were there last year. And was like he need to stay low. He a big guy. He developing. You had Wiggins that came from LSU last year. You got a lot of pieces from last year that came from SEC. And then you had guys who were developing like David Swain, who was a highly sought out defensive line recruit. Been really quiet about where he's going to be. That defensive line has a lot of pieces that could turn out to be something. I haven't really heard much about Carter from last year. I know he was coming back. But you got to look at the fact they brought these young IMG guys in. They got a lot of production coming off the edge. I know Keaton Ward is still not Keaton Ward. Keaton Wade is still around. They have a lot of pieces people are looking. McCoy's been waiting his turn. Arden Walker's been waiting his turn. Okanola guy last year, he's taking his time getting back, but he's going to be a piece. It's a lot of names we know because we know the team, but so many people outside, they're thinking, oh, Colorado is a rebuild. No, Colorado is a better, more fully filled in team than last year. Last year was better than before. They had more depth. This year they have more depth. And you can see it just in their quarterback position alone. They have more depth than they ever had there. And they have more depth in the receiver room, quality depth. They have more depth in the running back room, quality depth. They have more depth on the offensive line. There's quality depth. More depth on the defense line, quality depth. The linebacker depth is more. Can they get more pieces in all of them? Absolutely. For injury's sake and for whatever's sake. But they are more than what they were. And that's what makes Colorado dangerous. Colorado, absolutely, is a dangerous team. The depth chart, I mean, somebody like a Timmons, I think that's where he'd be more challenged. If they play this thing right, you should be like NFL and everybody. You should be moving four receivers, keeping them healthy, keeping them fresh. You're gonna be blocking out there. You got situational. Everybody have something to bring to the table, a package. He brings size and the athleticism for his size. I don't want to say Randy Moss-ish because he's not a Randy Moss, but he's a tall guy that's athletic and can run. He brings that. Then you look at the fact that you got Omarion Miller, just the little engine that could. I mean, he make big play after big play. JoJo, we know what he did at Tulsa. He just got to get a chance to show it here. That alone to me, I think is a better because Will Shepard had a decent year, but he didn't really do like nothing extravagant. Far as our big guys on the outside, really didn't have no big guys on the outside. The tight end room really was non-existent. So when you bring in a big guy like this, and then you bring in a big tight end, then you got some guys who can go get the ball like JoJo and Omarion. Omarion can jump. He's jumping over Travis. This makes their outside receivers very dangerous. So that further shows why you're gonna have to double up. That safety gonna have to help over top. You ain't gonna be running no man. You're gonna be running a lot of zone. And when you zoning like that, yeah, that's cute because you keep things in front of you. But somebody finna get loose. Somebody finna get loose. Because really you got more than one guy that'll need to be double. If they play their cards right, more than one guy that'll need to be double on both sides. And don't get crazy when you mess around and run a package where you put all three of them out there. They can do what they want. It's this in their hands to be as creative as they want. If you have Miller, bring him in the slot, and put Joe Oro out there and put Sincere out there, and it's like, okay, now what? And then we put somebody in the backfield who can get out there. It can be a problem real quick. Tight end still on the field. Big boy set. That I kept talking about last year. If they play their cards right, while they got all this time to plan it out, they can get really cute. And I don't see how they couldn't get cute. You can talk about Pat Shermer all you want. But guess what? He can't be running nothing. You just brought his replacement. I don't care what nobody say. His replacement is here. Man. His replacement is here. You got Leftwich there, who has NFL Super Bowl experience as player and as coordinator. And then you also brought in Marshall Faulk, who's one of the greatest of all time. So their scheme should be super duper. Low level you or whatever you think about Pat Shermer, it's no excuse now because you just brought these guys in the room with him. You brought in more NFL lineman support. So their scheme should be like it shouldn't be bubblegum. It shouldn't be bubblegum. I think they're looking at a cornerback. You definitely get a couple safeties for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he better step his game up and he'll be jumping in the portal too. But they like be wise here, but he gonna hit the portal. He might want to hit the portal. This is last year too. He might want to hit the portal if he can find a spot. I don't know, but no. It's time to move on. Y'all, Colorado got the weapons. We're gonna be talking about these weapons. We got spring game stuff coming up. The world just don't know. I mean, they didn't know last year. I knew. A lot of us knew. But they got a lot of weapons. And we're gonna get more in detail. There's people out there got film review, they got this stuff like that, they got cuts like that. But I'm gonna tell you, if we play our cards right, play that hand right, a lot of people gonna be talking about Colorado. There ain't gonna be no, they're rebuilding. This is gonna be a better team. And they still got a lot of young pieces. Yep. Yep, they got Brown. And I think it's more to come. He just got a nice little offensive tackle. And just go in sincere, which I figured he would. I don't think it was. I'm not surprised at all that he's here. This is the place to be. These are the eyeballs he need, the opportunity he need to position him to be in the draft next year. No better place to be. Y'all, man, with that, Greg said it. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all stopping through. And that, I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. Y'all make sure y'all check out Inspiration Motivation later on.